new lighthouse keeper, a solemn man named Arthur Cray, arrived at the weather-beaten building, introduced by a tempestuous sea and forbidding skies. This ancient tower was nestled on the cliff's edge, the very last bastion of civilization before the ocean stretched far into the unknown. His predecessor had vanished without a trace, leaving only log entries that hinted at unease and whispers carried on the breeze. The townsfolk, whose minimal words offered even less comfort, shuffled around him with pitying, fearful eyes before muttering their superstitions. And swiftly turning away from his presence, Arthur soon immersed himself in the lighthouse's workings, familiarizing with its spiral steps, the damp cold of the quarters, and the rhythmic crashing of waves against rock. Yet, as he recorded the routine tasks of maintaining the beacon, some ineffable strangeness seemed to creep into his life, an invisible thread pulling at his senses. Each night grew longer as the wind howled more frenetically around the tower, and the clouds above seemed to roil with intent, casting unfathomable shadows that moved with grotesque life. He stumbled upon the previous keeper's journal in a desk drawer, hastily scrawled with tremulous letters that bewildered him. Listen in the waves. What calls? The journal entries stopped abruptly, as though silenced by a chaos of storm or terror. Deeply unsettled, Arthur knew he faced not only the inhospitable elements, but something darker, whispering an ominous symphony in the ebb and flow beneath him. The days turned into a haunting rhythm of mechanical duties and creeping unease for Arthur. His solitary life, accompanied only by the capricious wind and constant crash of the sea, began to warp his perception of reality. By dusk, he often found himself drawn to the edges of the cragged cliff, watching the churning waters below with a questioning mind, forever aware of a whisper just out of reach, trickling through his consciousness. One evening, swallowed by the cavernous silence of his abode, he decided to venture behind the light tower to the small, forgotten cemetery that lay veiled in salt-kissed moss. It was here the town buried its keepers, those who passed away in service, marked only by nameless stones. As Arthur explored the graves, the wind's moaning carried an all-too-human sound that lingered in his mind, a harmony of syllables almost forming a plea or a promise. Restless with an indescribable need to make sense of what he heard, Arthur began scrawling his own journal, forming erratic patterns mimicking the fragments he thought he heard. Each indescribable dream, a whisper in the dark, a hand on his shoulder, an ethereal longing manifested within those pages. As he slowly grew unmoored from waking life and reason, Arthur's nights grew increasingly restless. Each sleep was an asylum filled with tidal echoes and faint voices, beseeching and chiding in equal measure, their presence as palpable as the pulsing heart of the sea itself. One stormy twilight, as rain pelted the windows, and the lighthouse groaned with age-old resistance, he decided to delve deeper into the source of the whispers. He climbed up to the lamp room, sitting beneath the rotating beam that sliced the storm's belly with pristine light. From his vantage point, the ocean glowed under diffused moonlight, a deceptively serene expanse, with a siren's song echoing through every crashing wave. It was then Arthur saw them, shadows weaving in the water, whispering tales of the deep, tradition and hope, despair and overwhelming melancholy, compelled by an unspoken need to connect with the void calling him. Arthur found himself scribbling sketches of waves reaching upward with clawed tendrils, teasing the air above, his mind drawn further into the depths. With each breath, the passage of time became fluid, similar to the sea below, leaving him faintly aware of dawn creeping in through the anointed thickness of the night. As days turned to a routine of disquiet, Arthur's connection with the churning abyss grew undeniably magnetic. The lighthouse, once a sanctuary, now seemed a conduit for the entities beneath. The weather patterns spiraled wildly, each storm reinforcing the voice's pull, a chant indistinct, but filled with a profound longing that he could not escape. With each gale, Arthur felt the compulsion to confront the ocean's call directly. Subsequent evenings found him at the water's edge, the boundary between land and sea blurred in his mind. There, beneath the jagged line of cliffs, the waves rolled with a synchronized rhythm, each pull and release aligned with the rise of lunar tides, whispering secrets only the keepers before him understood. His journal became a tapestry of fear and fascination, spelling out narratives of centuries-old legends and imagined apparitions surfacing through froth and foam. The lighthouse interior, darkened as stormlit candescent visions, filled its chambers, and Arthur, engulfed by the voices, felt his own spirit slowly inverting where the sky ended, and the sea began merging with ferocious intent. The lighthouse attained an unearthly air as Arthur succumbed further to the maritime hallucinations. Groundskeepers and passing fishermen started uttering rumors about him, a keeper, blending into the legends of the coast. The boundaries between reality and fable becoming indistinct. The sea, alive and articulate, hummed ancient songs from its depths, its voice drowning the terrestrial din within Arthur's mind. Driven by the need to capture this Aquarian symphony, Arthur began orchestrating bizarre experiments, tuning in to the ocean's voice with makeshift sound equipment crafted from lighthouse materials. The amphibious resonance, akin to ghostly harmonics, filled the tower, embedding itself into stone, steel, and his psyche, becoming an eternal echo in the guardian's halls. In the hours marked by tidal shifts, Arthur's senses witnessed phenomena that defied intellectual grasp. Half-seen figures moving with spectral sway under rolling currents, luring him with tempting motions. He drifted ever closer to the edge of reason as the sea's call grew no less persistent, endlessly invoking him into its glistening embrace. Arthur's dreams became labyrinths of endless floods and cold caresses, the echoes of the sea mounting a crescendo through every sinew of his being. Everything around the lighthouse thrummed with ephemeral life, whispers forming a diaphanous veil over his thoughts, swirling into fractals of logic and chaos, fracturing his sanity inch by inch. Amidst this progressive dissolution, Arthur decided to explore the oft-avoided cavern concealed in the cliffs beneath the lighthouse, a mysterious grotto locals deemed cursed. He descended cautiously with a lantern and journal, his heart pounding in harmony with the waves. The cavern walls shimmered with bioluminescence, casting eerie green and blue glows, their surfaces etched with cryptic patterns resembling tidal incantations. Cries from the water grew clear and cohesive within this chamber, voices orchestrating an operetta of longing and lamentation. Enraptured yet terrified, Arthur sat cross-legged, sketching furiously, capturing the specters of light and shadow, the lines of sinuous tides, the epitome of his now fractured existence. His surroundings unfolded as half-inked realms of phantoms and fantasy, an unspoken invitation issued by the abyss. The keeper's reality dissolved to a solitary melody, the lighthouse's light ceasing to guide him home as it flickered and beat with his heartbeat, echoes overlapping echoes, the sea calling its due. His reflections in surfaces became other, crystalline and foreign, a divergence that signaled the irrevocable loss of self beneath the waves' enchantment. One rain-soaked eve, climbing the now serpentine and trembling stairs, he realized the voices had amalgamated into a singular will, an invocation that resided within his marrow. The lighthouse's top became his final sanctuary, as moisture dripped from stone like spectral whispers. He looked out at the dark, shimmering sheet of the ocean and instinctively knew what needed to be done for peace, an ultimate offering to the abyss, the keeper's fated journey. Arthur stood at the brink of comprehension and oblivion, an enveloping silence in his heart. In that infinitesimal moment, he felt the magnetic horizon pull him beyond the corporeal realm's hold, a new light beckoning from beneath the waves, promising a return to the cradle. He closed the journal upon the final entry, his eyes capturing a fleeting reflection of serenity amidst the chaos. News of Arthur Cray's disappearance spread like wildfire across the small coastal town. Yet the tempest preventing any immediate searches for him, skepticism mixed with fear, interweaved with local lore, cementing the legend of another keeper claimed by the sea, giving rise to campfire yarns about the choir of the deep. His colleagues in inspection later found the lighthouse abandoned, empty rooms filled with disturbed air and whispers that seemed to cling within the mortar. The journal Arthur kept was retrieved, a disjointed tale of esoteric diagrams, unnerving sketches, and cryptic notes, weaving a narrative that none could decipher, except in fevered dreams murmured from the oceanic abyss. The lighthouse resumed its lonely vigil, standing against the elemental force, its light tirelessly circling, casting long shadows onto uninterrupted darkness. Echoes of Arthur's final days lingered, spoken of in hushed tones amongst villagers, and the keeper's spirit was thought to wander the unending halls of the tower, yearning for answers within the infinite weave of the tides. Those on the shore claimed to hear his call during quiet nights, a melodic voice amidst the roaring sea, inviting them to listen. In the weeks following Arthur's vanishing, new rumors swirled amid the townfolk. Fishermen spoke of peculiar, tortured whales breaching with shrill calls, their cries echoing a lament woven by Arthur in his final days. A family taking a cliffside walk claimed to see Arthur's silhouette amidst the evening light, vanishing as quickly as it was seen, merging with the horizon. The lighthouse keeper's station, temporarily left vacant, became a site of macabre curiosity, drawing enthusiasts of the supernatural who sought to commune with the fabled voices. They roamed the grounds with recording equipment, hoping to capture evidence of the choir. Yet many left with only fragments of sound drowned out by the raging sea, driving them to despair akin to what Arthur had endured. Behind closed doors, the local authorities debated the continuation of the lighthouse, struggling with the growing fear that its very foundation was cursed. Yet, with the knowledge that commerce and safety relied upon its light, they persisted with courage, or perhaps reluctance, to challenge the aquatic unknown. Thus, the story of Arthur Cray lived on, engraved within the ebb and flow, entrancing those who dared listen. The final chapter opens with the arrival of a seasoned, reluctant replacement keeper, one familiar with coastal mysteries, yet skeptical of the occult. He approached the lighthouse with a discerning eye and an iron will, determined to bring logic to the rim of madness that had claimed so many before. He uncovered Arthur's journal, scanning it for familiarity. Though the ramblings were enigmatic, they hinted at a pattern, a thread woven with desperation and the unknown. His nights were filled with arduous watchfulness, scrutinizing the light slicing through the vapor-laden darkness and the ocean's maw. Despite his skepticism, he found himself drawn toward the same cathedral of voices, orchestrating their aqueous opera beneath the waves. In a rare moment, while the lighthouse creaked in oceanic symphony, he glanced into the mirror and thought he saw a face familiar, yet unquestionably gone, whispering between dimensions, a final inheritance from the relentless sea.